Howdy, y'all. We're gonna do a little work on the trigger on the JTS Airacuda standard, and I believe the same trigger is in the Max, but I'm not 100% positive. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some longer screws in it and show you a little bit how the trigger group works. So if you are not comfortable doing something like this, don't do it. You can make a gun unsafe real quick, okay? Now, you can get somebody to do it, or you can use this video to try to help yourself learn it, but be careful, because they say you can make the gun unsafe fairly quickly. And all right, so let's get started. First thing we got to do is take the stock off, and I've already got the screw loose just to save some time here. We need to degas it, so we need the 2.5. All right. I was wondering why I had a 2.5 millimeter hitting on the bench, but degas it right here, and I've already degassed it. You can cock it to make sure it's got the last bit of gas out of the tube. Try not to do that too often because you can mess up the valve. It's not good to dry fire it with an empty cylinder, but we want to make sure that the gun is decocked. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these two screws out right here. This is a 4mm wrench. Get the trigger group off of here. All right, we can set this to the side. Okay. Now, obviously, if you read the owner manuals, it shows you you can adjust the first stage right here and the second stage over here on this side. First stage, second stage. Now, the manual to me is a little misleading because it says, here it says adjust your travel, which is fine. That's to adjust that before it gets to the main shear break point. The other side, it kind of says adjusts trigger weight, but it really doesn't. All it's doing is adjusting your shear point and how much it's actually catching, which makes a cleaner, crisper pull. You know, you don't have to put long drag, but you got to be careful of that because I heard about it. I haven't seen any of them, but the problem with some of them, when you're trying to decock the gun will go off. I'll show you about that. All right. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take these two screws out. Now, what you got to be careful for when you take this cover off, there's 4 springs in here, and there's a detent ball, and right now it's right here, and when you flip it there, that detent ball is right there. So you got to be real careful of that. So let's get these two screws loose. All right, now you got, get these other screws out of the way here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 pins here that everything pivots on, so you got to lift this thing kind of straight up. And like I say, you got to watch for the springs as it comes up. I like to put my hand over anything so they don't go flying. All right, here is the insides of it. All right, put that over there out of our way. Like I say, right now these springs can go anywhere they want right now if they wanted to. So let me zoom down here a little bit and see if we can move over a little bit right here. All right, first thing we want to do is see that detemp ball sitting right there, and there's a spring underneath it. Take that off, put it somewhere safe. There's that little spring. And we got that out of our way. Okay. Basically, when you cock the gun, this will pop up, and this side will go up, and then your shear is engaged right there. When you pull the trigger, you got this travel, which is the travel distance screw is this one, how far it goes up before it touches this part of the trigger, or the shear part. And I'm trying to keep these springs from popping out. So set that back. Now this one, we need the 1.5 millimeter. Let me make sure I'm staying in. You go in there and you adjust that, and you see how that's pulling that away. When you pull this away, you're bringing this out. Okay, the problem is they use really short screws, and I'll show you what I mean here. If you screw that far enough, thinking you're trying to adjust it and you don't know where it's at, that screw will come out and fall out. Then your trigger group is all locked up. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take this screw completely out. Now, that's how long that screw is. It is a if I can get a hold of it here, it's a 5 millimeter screw. What I done was I bought some, find it here. Every one of them I pick up, but the one I won't. I bought some 8 millimeter screws, and we're going to go back in there with that. And see, now I'm making an adjustment to it. All right. Now, the other screw is over here. And same thing, you can adjust that thing until it falls out. Matter of fact, it's out right now. It's already out. It's all threaded all the way through there. Sorry if don't keep this in camera. I'm trying my best here. Yeah, see, it won't even start back in now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trip this thing so it'll go up. Tip it up out of there. There it is right there. Now I bought 10mm long ones. This is what I did. It's going to go right there. Now you can put some blue Loctite on this if you want. I'll probably do that here. Let's see here. Back it up a little bit there. All right. Now, if you wanted to at this point, or even before you put screws in it, if you feel you need to, I don't feel that they need it myself. They feel pretty good to me. But you could take the springs out and then slide your two shears out, and you can hone them and make sure they're nice and sharp and square and all that, if you know how to do that. If you don't, leave it alone. I think they're clean enough myself. I mean, we're not trying to make a match grade trigger here. We're just trying to, I've heard a couple people screw those in and don't know how to fix it. So this is kind of what I'm trying to show here, is I'm replacing those screws. You'll see that screw, pardon me, is sticking out. So we got plenty of room to make sure we see that we're putting this driver in it and stuff like that. And now, all right, let's do the first stage, I guess. Okay, it's all cocked up, and however much travel you want, you know, if that's enough travel, leave it there. Back it out some more, and you get more travel. Well, if I turn safety off, you get more travel. And you can back it all the way out till it's flush if you want that much travel. It's a lot of travel though. You can bring it all the way up till you touch it. Now you got no travel, see? That'll also help set the shear point on it too. But that's what this side is for. Let me go back and take this back a little bit so we can get a little bit of travel there. Get a little bit of travel. Now here you can start screwing it in, and it's already spring loaded, so it's going to pop when it gets to a certain point. Right there. Now what I'm going to do is from that point, I'm going to back it up 2 rounds. Was that 2 rounds? I don't remember. But that's where I'm going to start at. Because what you're going to have to do is, once you assemble this thing, is go through the decocking cycle and see if that'll hold. If it won't, you need to back that screw out a little bit more. So now we are ready to put it back together. We need that little spring that goes sometimes little tweezers help, or big tweezers when you got big fat fingers. You can also use those to squeeze these springs down to help get them out. You use a pair of tweezers. All right. Trying to get this ball out of here. He wants to roll around on you. All right, hang on a minute. All right, there we go. You see it right there. Now we're going to reassemble the cover back on it, put screws on it, put it back together. What I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to put some blue Loctite on these screws and screw it all back together. So we'll be back in a second. All right. Obviously you got it together. When you're trying to put it together, make sure that the trigger is in the fired position, so you don't jam it up in there against a hammer. All right, so now the detent's working on our safety. We got a little bit of well, we ain't got it cocked. So what we're going to do is we want to cock it. See, it's not holding it. So what we got to do is go in here and we need to back this screw out. I'm going to back it out one turn. Now it's cocked. So what we want to do now is decock it. And it did it without firing. So we've got it kind of adjusted. Now you can go in and tweak it a little bit more. I'm going to turn it an eighth of a turn. See, there it went off. So we were on the edge where it was. Let's back it out a little bit more. That's being on the edge, and this is what I'm talking about. You can make this gun unsafe real quick, but if you don't know what you're doing. It's decocked right now. It's cocked now. I'm going to dry fire it, but like I said, try not to dry fire it too many times while the tank is empty. Cocked. Oh, it went off when I was decocking it, so we're going to back that screw out another half turn. It's cocked. It's decocked. Cocked, decocked. Decocked. And I pulled the trigger on that. Let's see. We still don't have it set right. We need to back it out a little bit more. I don't know if I'm just doing this right or what. There we go. I just wasn't doing it right either. Alright, it's cocked. It's holding. Pull it back. Pull the trigger. Let go. Let off the trigger. There we go. We're decocking it. It's cocked. Pull it back. Pull the trigger. Move it forward a little bit. Let off the trigger. It's decocked. There we go. We got it set. Let's cock it. And we got no so you got to get this thing just right. We got no travel back here. So we're going to back this out just a little bit. Now we got some travel. Like I say, you can I've got it set pretty close on the shear in there. You can look in there and see how much that shear is. So we are ready to make sure you tighten up your bleed screw hole. Put stock on it. And we are ready to fill it up. Like I said, now be very careful if you decide to do something like this. You can make the gun unsafe real quick. Get everything out of adjustment. So right now we're ready to go. Fill her up. Start shooting. Thanks a lot.